I'm the king.
So you have a 1976 Chevy Blazer.
I'm the king of rock. I'm
And
the
you're
king
gonna
of rock.
make
I'm the king.
a what?
A center console.
How big? No, seriously.
Like 4 feet.
Oh my god. Okay.
It's
So
gonna
it's
be
a big. So you're gonna do the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna do from front to back. So it'll start at the dashboard, and it will have a radio up front, and it will also house a the airbag switches, the power window switches, 2 cup holders, and a wireless cell phone charger, and then we're gonna make an armrest. And if we have some room, we'll put a
All of that in a center console.
yeah, and it's a pretty small area, but I think we can get it handled in there. So this will be like the head unit. So I'm just gonna freehand this. I'm not a very good artist, but I can build like a mofo.
Do you know what kind of head unit you're gonna want?
Kenwood, we've already got it. This will go like this. And then what we're gonna do is up here in the back, we're gonna make
What am I looking at?
an armrest. You're looking at a side view.
I don't get it.
Yeah, most people won't. You almost have to see it done for it to work.
Whoa.
We'll follow the console, the contours of the car, and then what we'll do is, just so you get a little bit better understanding, I'm going to try to 3D it for you.
Huh? Oh, kind of. Are you drawing it upside down?
Yeah, well, I'm drawing it this way, so
Oh, wait. Okay, so
see what's
that's
going on.
that's the radio.
That's the radio.
Where's the radio facing?
The radio's facing forward. I just did that for
Oh, so they're looking this way.
correct.
Okay.
Now-
So the person's over here.
Correct. This is the driver's seat, and this is the passenger seat.
Okay.
Okay. And then here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a cool armrest here, and this armrest will basically be kind of free floating, if we were to say, if we could say that. Okay.
What's making you do a C-notch armrest or a...
Just trying to be something different. Actually, so whenever we design something, we want to make sure that it kind of goes with the car. And so he's got some door panels that were already kind of designed by somebody else. So we're going to try to incorporate that into our own square body build, because this is a pretty square vehicle. So I'm going to put a little bit of curve in the dash itself, or in the console itself. And one of the things here that I'm not showing, because I really don't know how to draw it from a side view, but I can draw it from a bird's eye view. So I'm going to make the console start off kind of wide, and it's going to narrow in almost like a factory console does. It's going to narrow in here.
Oh.
Okay, so if the radio's here,
Curves in and outward?
correct. So if the radio was here, let's say,
How do you jig cut that?
plastic. So this side pieces are made out of plastic, and that's how we're able to contour them. So we'll make
How do
it.
you cut plastic like that?
Well, we can cut it on the router, but we're gonna bend it with heat. And what we'll do is we'll make a jig that'll be pretty much this shape. And we heat up this side here, and this side, we put heat on this side, and we'll clamp it together. So if we clamp these,
Brilliant. I know exactly what you're saying.
we got a couple clamps. We clamp that together, and
What
that
do you
will
heat it
make
up
this heat gun. We just have a heat gun. It's like a hair dryer.
Just a
The one you use for your hair.
Have you done this before?
Never. But it's gonna work.
Stop. Wait, what are you saying? Let me rewind that just one more time for you.
Have you done this before?
Never. But it's gonna work. It's gonna work. So one other thing.
How do you know it's gonna work?
It has to work. It has to work. We don't have an option. So the other thing that I'm going to incorporate here in the console is I want it to look like the front console and the back console kind of blend
Oh,
together.
that's cool. I see what you're doing a little bit.
So
That's
what,
cool.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a lip here like this, and it'll just be like a little accent lip here. And we'll do this. We'll color this in. They say we'll do this. I'm thinking we'll do this in a black trim.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and so we're gonna contrast it. So we're gonna have a black trim here, probably something like this. Come in like this. So we'll have that black trim come in, and then that'll be where our transition point is. So basically, this console will
Transitions
be
what? Color to color?
back console to front console.
So this is narrow and this is fat?
Backwards. This one is fat and narrows, and then the narrow is in the back. It continues because it has to fit in between the seats.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll start with something like this. I know it's not a very good drawing, but trust me, I could build this. And also here we're gonna add a couple cup holders. And they'll probably have to go vertical versus horizontal, only because we don't have the real estate. And then we're also gonna incorporate his airbag switches will be in here in a removable bezel. Okay, so that, and then here in the front, probably gonna make some kind of cell phone charger or holder here in the front. And then here we will also add the power window switches, which are the old school classic looking GM traditional switches.
Are you going to put USB plugs there, or what are you going to do there?
No, we're trying to keep it nice and clean. He is going to have, right below this console, we're going to add a wireless charger for his cell phone. And then if we have to, we have the USB for the radio that will run inside the console. And if we want to use it in the future, we can definitely just drill a hole out anywhere, just depending where the customer wanted. He didn't really request that as of now, because he does have a head unit that will do everything Bluetooth. He's got the ability to wireless charge, so he really doesn't have a need for it. But in the future, if he does want to change phones or whatever technology might change, then we just run the USB cable and we run it all the way to the back here, mount it, and then he'll have a charging port. Okay. So that, and then we're also going to do black inside here. So this whole area, whatever you see me shading in right now, will be in black, and the outsides will be in tan.
Beautiful.
So this will all be black.
Wow.
Okay, so we'll start there. And we're doing this for a couple of reasons. One of them is we want it to look super cool. And I am an expert at making your eye go wherever I want it to go when you look at something.
Okay.
So we're trying to take away from the kick panels a little bit. The kick panels are a little bit square, which is fine because they're down low. But I want, when somebody looks in the vehicle, I want their focus to be that center console. It is the center of attraction. Yeah, that's right. That's what we want. We want everything in the center. So we're going to make sure that we concentrate on that center point. It's like a centerpiece.
So this is a big deal. This center console should be a big deal?
100%. This is one of the biggest. This and the speaker enclosure are going to be the most important factors in this vehicle build. Everything else is going to make to be look like it blends, but the center console and the subwoofer enclosure, we want those things to pop, and that's what we're doing here. We're going to make it pop in the center. It's going to flow all the way down the center of the vehicle. That's where your eye will go whenever you look in the vehicle.
Oh man, I want to come back and get this. Okay, let's get it. Let's do it. 1976 Chevy Blazer center console SketchUp.
Damn, that almost.
Are you gonna sign it?
That almost like Chip Foose? Yeah, let's do it.
There it is.
There it is.
Custom.
Coming to a theater near you, or to a shop.
Not lying, y'all. He's the best I know.
Okay, so we're here at this. What year is the Chevy?
76.
So it's a 76 Chevy Blazer. And Jaime is doing an entire custom-made everything.
Audio/interior.
Audio/interior.
Right.
So, what are you gonna do right here in this entire centerpiece?
So we'll do a center console here with an armrest that goes here. We're gonna try to do a C shape from one of the, inspired by one of the other guys. Matt Schaefer does one like that in one of his videos.
Okay.
I like the concept. The customer okayed it, so we're gonna go with something like that. This console will be up high here. It'll be a C channel, like so. And then down here we'll have the radio, small panel. So basically these two pieces will make one console, and they'll overlap each other a little bit in the center. Okay, so I'll have cup holder, switches. We're gonna have the airbag switches will be inside, incorporated inside of it. And then he'll also be able to remove them so he wants to pull it outside.
Okay.
That's what the customer wants. He's an old school guy, so he wants old school style. So switches will be incorporated in there. Also removable console for the armrest, cup holder, window switches, and radio, all in the console.
How?
So like this. Here, let me grab those pieces. Hold on.
This is an entirely custom hand-built, one-of-a-kind center console that's going to get built into this vehicle. All by hand, all just custom built. Made out of wood, not, well, some wood.
Okay, so these are first made We call this stick tricks. I don't know if I should be showing a whole lot of these tricks, but
Oh, now I can hear it because the air compressor's starting. Yay.
yeah, sorry, I can't turn it off. I mean, I could, but. So this will go something like this. This will go something like this. Radio's gonna end up here. And then what we'll do is we'll curve these in. Okay, so these will be twisted in. So it'll be wide in the front, narrow in, and then narrow back out to our armrest.
It's got a little sexy curve here.
Yeah, gonna make it look like a little hourglass figure. You like those?
Yeah, that looks good.
Okay, so that's just the
And then will this be painted or vinyl, or what's the final?
We got a complement, so the whole interior is going to be turned to, we have this tan color, and we're going to do black accents. Carpet's going to stay black, bottom of the door's going to stay black. We're going to cover this in this tan color vinyl, cream color vinyl. Same with here, and then the dash pad will also be cream color. So we'll have a two-tone black, cream, and then a little bit of orange accents, just because it's factory color.
Got it. How far back will this go?
All the way back. All the way back here.
Is there a seat back here, or it goes back?
No seat because of the
C-notch?
C-notch, yeah, you can't do it anymore. Just it would be a funky seat, so they don't want it. He doesn't care. It's a two-seater for him. It's just his cruiser.
All right. So you're making a weapon, a gun. What's this?
These are the side pieces for the center console. So I copy the right side contours of the car and the left side, and a little bit different. Basically, the console will be like this. This is the side. These are the side pieces of the console.
Okay.
And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make these out of plastic. And reason being is I want it to look more factory, so it's not so square. So I'm going to curve these in.
Okay.
I'm going to do a curve in like this. Okay. So I'll make these plastic, heat them up. I'll make a little base on.
Of course, we're looking at the left side and the right side.
Correct.
Top, back.
Right. Okay. So yeah, this is if I was in the driver's seat. This is my armrest.
Right.
So then I'm going to make another armrest that goes into this one. So it'll basically be another console that goes into it. So these.
Oh, this is the front?
This is the front. No. This is where the radio goes. The radio goes here. Radio goes here. We'll have some switches down here for the airbags.
Okay.
Okay, and then, or actually the airbags will be here. Then I'll have another panel that goes here, armrest, on here. That piece will snap into this piece. So they're basically gonna overlap like this. Right? So when you're done, it'll look like this, kind of. I know that's confusing. So here, I'm copying the pieces from wood, transferring them over to a piece of expanded PVC plastic. And the reason that we use this plastic is because this plastic has a low heating temp, a low melting temperature. So it doesn't take a whole lot of heat to get this to mold the way you want it. So first we're gonna make 2 pieces of this, and that's gonna be an outside and an inside skin on each side. So it'll be a total of 4 pieces for the base, which are basically the sides of the console. And what I'm doing here is putting a rabbit edge on there, and that rabbit edge is specifically made for the vinyl that we'll be using it. That vinyl will tuck inside that little groove. So what you're seeing there is a little tiny little gap done with a rabbit bit, and the vinyl will tuck up all the way back until that edge, and that'll keep it in place, and it will also make our panel flat, so it'll be nice and flush, so the vinyl is not going to push out our panel at any point. And that's the reason we do that. Okay, so there you can see both sides. There's a right side and a left side. Right now they're template taped to each other backwards, which means you're looking at the actual inside. Even though I routed that side, that is actually the inside of the panel. So that little gap is only for the vinyl, and that's only so we have a nice transition of vinyl, so we don't see where one starts and the other one ends. Here's the jig that's been built, and what we're gonna do here is we've basically found a shape, a bottom base, made it out of MDF and squared it off the best we could, and we've clamped the front of the console together. So right now I'm making a couple pieces, and these 2 pieces are going to be so we don't leave marks on the plastic when we do heat it up. Because this plastic has a low melting temperature, we want to make sure that we don't embed any lines with our clamps. Okay, so there you can see the inside and the outside skin. Here I'm using the heat gun. I'm using 2 heat guns, and the reason I'm using 2 is I want both of them to heat up at the same time. So a lot of times in the past when we've used a heat gun on one side, too much on one side and not enough on the other, what you'll notice is that they don't bend the same. So here in this one, what we're doing is we're heating both sides equally, hitting the right side and the left side. And what we'll do is we'll gradually squeeze our templates in a little bit. You can see our blocks there. and they're basically going to go in a little bit at a time, and they're going to follow the contours of our brace on the bottom of our jig.
And you've never done this before?
Never done this. This is the
How
first
did you know
time.
this was going to work?
Well, it's plastic, so it's got to melt, right? It's got to bend. All plastic does bend with heat.
Okay.
So I did take a training at, and I saw Tom Miller do this on a center console they built, and I said, "Oh, I could do that. It seems pretty straightforward." So I just took some of the ideas that they had shown us there, some of the techniques that they gave us there in our training, and I incorporated it into my own. So there you can see that the plastic is actually contouring to my jig, and so we're gonna let it sit there, and then once it cools down, it's going to be the exact same shape that we're looking for, and it's nice and even. We don't have one side bent more than the other side, so I just want to make sure it's symmetrical all the way through. We have a jig we made to curve the console, so it'll be wide where the radio is. It'll narrow on down, and then that will let our other console snap into this one.
What are we seeing? This is the
Bottom of the dash.
stereo right here?
Stereo right here, and then we'll have our controls here, probably window switches, and then back over here we'll have our extended console, which will go to our armrest. We'll go here.
There it is. And once it cooled down, did it bend back in any way, shape, or out of shape?
No, it doesn't. Once it cools down, it stays
It's locked in place.
It stays exactly the way it's supposed to.
Okay.
Yeah. Some other times what we've done here is actually
What's going up here?
that's where the head unit's going to go.
Okay.
And then down here will be the window switches, and then they'll incorporate into the center, the back piece of the console here. And so once the pieces are bent, we're going to now attach them to our main structure, which is made out of MDF. It's a 3/4 inch MDF. We do have the cutouts made here. The reason those cutouts are made there is for weight. We want to make sure we keep down the weight. Here you can see the top bezel made. Oh, I thought that was made out of plastic. I guess not.
What are these right here?
So those are the original templates.
Okay.
So we started off with stick tricks, and then we moved to a solid piece of 1/4 inch.
Okay.
This is the top piece that incorporates the radio bezel as well as the window switches, and that snaps into this bottom piece here. Here we started the upholstery process, and we have to make sure we pay attention to what we upholster. Here are our side pieces. This is our top piece. It's already been vinyl wrapped. There's a cutout for the window switches, and everything is gapped behind it. We have a rabbited behind each one to tuck that vinyl, and these also have our little rabbit edge that you saw before. These are the original designs of the contours for the rear console. So because it's a two-piece console, the rear contours were made to fit evenly. Okay, so here we have it completed. It's still on the test bench or on the wrapping bench. We have not transferred to the car, but we do one final mock-up before we install in the vehicle. Make sure that the radio fits, the window switches fit, and all of our gaps are correct. So that inside and outside vinyl were gapped evenly just to make sure that they do slide into each other. There's the original template that went into that little holder area in the front. And then in between these pieces of MDF, it's just 1/4 inch MDF with a little bit of body filler. So that is, okay, this is a trick that we use. It's called the Smart Pattern System. And what we do is we find our shape, and then once we find our shape, we make it even all the way around. Okay, so here we have the console assembled on our test bench just to make sure everything fits nice and snug and we don't have any gaps anywhere. There you can see the phone charger. We have everything gapped perfectly, and we make sure it fits in there before we put it in the vehicle. We want to make sure that we don't have to do this twice. There you can see the side accents, and those side trim pieces are going to overlap into the front section. This is before, so this is putting it together. This is before vinyl wrap. It's structurally assembled, but it really gives us an idea as to what it's going to look like. So it's starting to take shape at this point. So this is our armrest, and what we use here is a technique called stack fabbing, and it's really the only way that you can curve wood without using any kind of moisture. And we basically take a shape and we duplicate it over and over and over till we get the width that we need. Once we have that, then we can find a way to trim it out. Okay, here it is in the vehicle, just a mock-up. The front's already been wrapped, but we're test fitting the rear section of the console just to make sure everything lines up, our switches fit, our cup holder's good. Here's our mount for our wireless charger once again before we put the armrest on. This is before this is the straight lines, and right here all we're doing is we're getting the contours of the floor, and we're making sure that the top is perfectly level. So that those two lines are leveled perfectly. So here's another one where it's basically the console's just mocked up before its final wrapping. So there you can see the gap in the outside bezel of the switches and the wireless charger, which has a little door, and we put it for storage.
So here we have it, the 1976 Chevy Blazer center console is done. Beautiful piece of artwork here. Tell me what we have here from beginning, from front to back. Go ahead and break it down modularly, what's inside material. We've seen the video, but give us a recap of what we're seeing here.
Okay, so we started off with the layout by putting the double din head unit. I believe this is a DNX 9504S, something like that. And this is a double din that does Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, motorized face, DVD, CD, Bluetooth. It's got everything except Wi-Fi. And what we did is we kept it down low. Reason being is the customer wanted access to his ashtray here. So the only way we could get to that is most guys, when they build the console for this, they actually they come up all the way, and that covers up the ashtray. He didn't want to do that, so we want to keep some of that factory, okay? Because we do have this ashtray here, it's not going anywhere. So we start off with the head unit, and what I did is I made the smallest console we could possibly make underneath the dash there. Once we got that under the dash, customer also requested that I keep it down low. He wanted more of a low profile console, so I told him that wouldn't be a problem. Cup holders would have to be raised up a little bit, obviously for purpose of keeping them intact here while you're driving. You don't want it too shallow, so we had to go semi-deep. The inside of the cup holder was made out of ABS plastic, just in case he does spill a drink or something. We make sure that we can clean it up and it doesn't ruin any of the wood. So there is no wood on this top piece. And really the only thing that was made out of wood is, I would say, just the structure on the outside skin. But the actual structure and stuff, so inside you guys saw the skeleton, that is made out of wood. Everything else is plastic, and it's obvious because we're gonna keep drinks around this area. Hopefully not lots of them so we don't make a big mess in here, but that's gonna keep the material from falling apart. So further back down the line, what we did is we installed the airbag switches for the vehicle. And I won't hit it now because we don't wanna, but well, maybe I will. But that's the airbag switch, and what the customer wanted is, I know I'm going to use a pick here, but actually I should use a panel bumper. But what he did is he wanted me to install a removable airbag controller, and so I made a little tiny trim. This is also made out of plastic and wrapped in vinyl. And what's cool about this is now he can pull out the airbag switches and he can use these outside of the vehicle. So we left him plenty of slack if he wants to control the airbags from the outside of the vehicle. So underneath the console, we left a little gap, and the gap is so we can install, or we can insert this cable here and put these back in their place. So they go right inside their housing here, and then you put the trim back on and it looks nice and finished, and he could use them in there or outside. On top of that, we went with a little bit fancier Matt Schaefer console, if anybody knows what Matt Schaefer is. Took a little inspiration from this guy, did a curve on top. We did follow the two-tone theme on here. So even though this piece is black in the center on top here, we followed it all the way down the center console. And that's to kind of match the aesthetics of the vehicle now, because that's the way it is now. We have a tan dash with a black instrument cluster, which is not in here now, but it has a black cluster. So we figured we'd leave all the control areas in the dark color and then do the lighter on the outside, which should be the same color as the seats. Right below the console, we installed the Qi charger, which is a wireless cell phone charger. It's made by Scosche. It does flush mount. It's got a magnet mount on there. It just uses a simple 12-volt power. Key goes on, it charges, key goes off, and then stops charging. So that's very, very simple. This guy threw in a little freebie for him, and it really wasn't supposed to be like this. We didn't talk about this, but I had a little bit of real estate left over, so I made him a flip door here, and we did a little storage compartment down below, just in case he wants to store something, maybe the documents for the vehicle or something. But so inside of our pocket area here is for storage, but on top of that, we made it super serviceable. So if this guy wants to come in and modify anything, we want to change the color of the interior, whatever it may be, because the top is made from plastic, it's very easily pressure fit and removable. So we can remove the top there, and now it gives us access to the compartments here. So if we want to do some nice cleaning here in the cup hold area, also with the switches, you can see how they have their own housing. They've been pretty modular in here, the way they're installed. You can see they're all attached to the frame. And then for serviceability purposes, this whole console comes out with only 2 bolts. and they are, one is below the cup holder here, we could just remove 2 screws and get to it, and the other is here below this piece here, which is pressure fit in here. And there you can see we have 1 1/4 20 bolt, and it is actually going through a threaded insert here in the bottom here. So we make sure that everything is threaded insert. We don't use any sheet metal screws, no drywall screws. Everything can be removed and reinstalled 100 times over without damaging any of the equipment. So you remove this piece here, these bolts come out, the whole console comes out with just only 2 screws. Same thing here in the front. This front piece is removable, has 1 1/4 20 going down to the center, and that's our shop bolt. That's our house size. We use 1/4 20 for 90% of our installation is using 1/4 20. So this is the top here again, and very simple. You just line it up. Actually, put the pocket back in, and then we install our cover, and console shuts, and we're back together.
There
2
you have
seconds.
it. A 1976 Chevy Blazer by Agoura Sounds.